Good morning. It is Wednesday, oh goodness, what is it? May 6th. Today I am Lincoln Shrike, joined by Gordon Mack. It's a FloTrack podcast. FloTrackPodcast at gmail.com is the email address. We will, if it's a decent one, read your email on air at some point today, tomorrow, 3 weeks from now. Talk about it, discuss it. So do email the show. Let us know what you think of our respective backgrounds, our morning hair, really just anything. What products we need to be plugging. I mean, I'm willing to sell some energy energy drinks. There we go, energy drinks. If people have those, I know that's a popular thing to do online. So send those my way. I'll review them. Gordon, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. Did you do any margarita drinking, or would you celebrate
No.
Mexicans not 4th of July version, even though we all think it's the same thing as the 4th of July, but for Mexico?
Yeah, we all do that. Yeah, I did not. Maybe I would have intended to do so. I mean, I ate a salad with some avocado in it, so that's like almost chips and guac.
There you go.
But no
I had
margaritas.
tacos for lunch.
Oh,
I
there
had
you go.
tacos for lunch and dinner.
From
So
where?
I had
Just homemade?
well, I made tacos
Oh,
for
wow.
lunch, and then for dinner we used to like ordered takeout at this like local taco restaurant nearby.
Okay, well,
So
no Taco Bell. That's good.
yeah, I mean, I wanted to, but I just felt like
Yeah.
it might be disrespectful to our friends down south, so I did not eat Taco Bell.
Although I do like me some Taco Bell.
I do.
I'm not actually hating against Taco Bell. It's pretty
Yeah, I
good.
did that.
So, that's good.
We also, in another update on the track events that are going on in my personal life that have nothing to do with, when there's no track, right? And there's no running, like no meets, no nothing. You got to find these little things where it's running related, but just to keep that itch going, right? So on Saturday, I talked about how we did a beer mile in the alleyway just to keep going. Today, JoJo did a really fun Cinco de Mayo themed workout. And by that, I mean, it was May 5th. So 5-5. So we did a 5 by 500 workout with, 5 by 500 at sub 5 minute pace for JoJo, which is fast because, sub 5 for a girl is good. So, it was a wild workout. I didn't do it. I just timed it, but it was a good workout.
That sounds awful. That sounds just terrible. I could not keep up with that remotely right now.
It's interesting because when we were running collegiately and in high school, like the typical workout is like repeat 400s, right? But doing repeat 500s is the most like sneakily hardest thing ever because that extra 100 meters changes it so much. I always
really
because
I don't think I've ever done $500 meter repeats. I don't think I've ever done that in my life. It's 600 and 400s, but not 500.
Yeah, I mean, I've done 500s where basically you're running it's basically a 400 meter repeat, but you're asked to then accelerate for another extra 100 meters at the end of your rep, basically is what it is. Mm-hmm. But you don't realize that extra 100 meters kind of takes a lot out of you in a word. It's like mentally weird to do an extra 100 meters for some weird reason. I don't know.
But it was good. What was the rest? What was the rest between reps?
300 meter jog. Oof. So just keep going. Yeah.
Dang. That is rough. So, but you were tasked with timing. I mean, were you tired afterwards? That seems pretty exhausting.
Yeah. I was running back and forth giving splits, and then there's like, some like just regular people on the it's a local track. It's like open to the public, just like walking around, just like doing their daily walk, and like we're actually like doing a workout. So there was a former Texas Longhorn on there doing a workout. He did 16 by 400. So that was a lot. He's a marathoner. Mark Pinellas. Remember Mark Pinellas? Okay. Texas. So he was there doing a workout. Anyway.
What track were you
that was
at?
Is
it Austin High?
The Yellow Jacket track.
Yellow Jacket.
Which I need to take photos of and send to the people who are listening on this podcast and to the world, because this track has the funniest signs I've ever seen in my life. This is a track, right? It's laned. It's not a dirt trail. It's a laned track, right? Mm-hmm. There's a sign that says no spikes. You can't have spikes. There's a sign that says no starting blocks. There's a sign that says no sprinting. You're not allowed to sprint on this track.
Right.
There's a sign that says call the cops if you see a track team practicing here.
Dang, those are okay. So obviously, I'm familiar with most of these because I've been to this. I have not seen that ladder sign. Call the cops if you see a track team.
There
That's got to
says
be a new one.
If you see a track team, report to either call this number or report to authorities.
There must have been like some debacle that happened. Like some old person must have got mowed over by like a sprinter, and this just during like high school track practice, because that is just absurd.
And they're like big yellow, like neon type
Yeah.
signs. They're very like eyesores on the track. And it's just so weird for a track to say no sprinting, no track teams, no spikes. It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Why do you have a track then? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's a crappy track, which is like when you have a crappy track that no one's taking care of the surface, that is runner's code for you can do whatever you want on this track, running related, like workouts at any time of the day, anybody doing this thing, like no sprinting. Like if you're trying to design a track for walkers, like get a reality check. Walkers can walk anywhere. Okay? Like you can't do a track workout anywhere. Sure, you can run anywhere, but it's not really safe to do like a fast workout on the roads. Like that is just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No track practice. What are we trying to do here? What are you trying to stop? Call the cops?
Yeah,
Hello, Austin Police. I'm sure you're not busy with anything else. We currently, and I know you're not going to believe this, so please send the SWAT team. We have track practice going on. Wait a second. Wait for it. At the track. All right. Send the militia. Thanks. Bye. It's like, what is that? Like, that is the most ultimate old person, like, BS I've ever heard of. It's just so stupid.
And it's so weird because, like, why do we have, like, and it's laned and, like, it's measured. Like, there's, like, numbers for each lane. There's, like, 100-meter start line, right? So people aren't allowed to sprint with the, like, why are there lane? Why doesn't it just one giant, like, black circle, right? Just like, but,
right.
You know, just
no,
like
they shouldn't have laned it if they don't want people to actually try to run on it.
Yeah, right. It's so weird. I don't know. I always laugh whenever I see it. Whenever like you're running fast on it, be like, "Oh, slow down." I want to do a video where I go there with like a camera and a mic, and I just like interview people about like. I tell people I like pretend to be like the authority, and I like blow a whistle whenever I see someone jogging too fast. Like, hey guys, you're going too fast. They're sprinting. So
yeah.
Anyway, if you guys are in Austin, check it out. Yellow Jacket Stadium, the one track in the entire world where running fast is banned and organized running is banned. It's just like
the police.
So
you can get arrested for running at a track. Apparently, I don't know. I mean, I assume if you get to call the police and they've set the rules, I just don't know what jurisdiction the owner. I don't know who owns this track. I don't know if it's the city. I don't know because it's not attached to a high school, so it's different in that regard. Because there's no high school that I know of around there. It's very strange. I got to go over there and check it out now because I have not seen the addition of the call the police if you see a track team. That's a new one.
So basically, JoJo's is a felon, right? She was sprinting and she was conducting a practice. So breaking two laws in one half-hour session. That's
incredible.
Incredible.
Just complete disregard for the law. Okay. So we do have a topic today other than being grumpy against track rules. We're doing Peyton Jordan Week on the site, one of the best track meets every year in the United States specifically. But I wanted to take that topic a step further and think about what is the greatest one day, so single day track meet on U.S. soil in history. Now, we're used to the big track meets in the world over the generations being elsewhere. You know, they have them in Europe and Asia, the World Championships, the Olympics, what have you. But we do have some meets to choose from. Of course, the pre-classic every year, well, except for this year, is either at Hayward Field or like it was last year at Stanford. And we also have NCAA championships. And of course, the 1996 Olympics were in Atlanta. So there's going to be plenty to choose from. But the rules, again, This is not what's the greatest meet of all time in the United States. It's the greatest one-day track and field event. So it had to be one specific day from NCAA's, one specific day from the 96 Olympics. And obviously will be a little bit easier with the pre-classic because most of the meet is contested on one singular day. But I want to come to a definitive answer here. What's the greatest single day of track and field on U.S. soil in history?
Yeah, and you did a good job of kind of putting together some nominees for in the running for that best day ever on U.S. soil for track. It's really hard also to kind of like figure this out, right? Because a lot of times it's hard to kind of put your brain in the moment of what it was like during that year or that era, right? Because a lot of times you might want to look, all right, let's see what has the most records, but then those records can get broken. And so even though it could have like 4 records that you didn't know there were records at the time because they got broken like 5 years later. So our list might not be the best list. There might be a meet out there that we forgot about. And if there is, email flotrackpodcast@gmail.com and call us out and tell us how dumb we are for not thinking of this other day in track history that was great. Speaking of track history, though, before we get into this, do you know what today is? The anniversary of?
May 6th. No, I don't.
Roger Bannister.
Oh, it's Roger. That's right. Roger Bannister Day. I should have remembered. 359. I forget the exact decimal. But yeah, the first ever sub 4. Congratulations. And
I was thinking about doing a sub 4 themed pod, but you jumped. You got me.
Sorry,
on this.
I trumped you. Maybe if I would have remembered, we would have done that. And but I'm kind of the theme boss here. Kevin and I run the show when it comes to themes, so we're doing this today. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. I know it'll be slightly off topic, but anyway. Start a specific track meet, a single day, kind of riff about it, and then ultimately by the end we're going to come to a conclusion on the greatest one-day track meet of all time. Not going in any sequential order. We'll just start with the one I have on the top here, the 2015 Prefontaine Classic. And I have several marks here that really highlighted the things. If we go back to 2015, remember Justin Gatlin was on fire. That was controversial, of course. Gatlin has the pre-record 1968 200 meters. He ran that in 2015. We also have Mutaz Estra Barshim jumping 241. Renaud Lavillenie in the news recently 605. Jinzebe Dababa 1419 in the 5,000, and Koneva a 1504 triple jump. Now, spoiler alert, I know this isn't going to be the day that we specifically pick. There's just other meets that are going to trump this. But does this pre-classic stand out to you? And if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, 2015 was a year for Justin Gatlin, as controversial as he is. That was a year when he was running on fire. And I feel like this performance was kind of like the one performance that I felt was like, whoa, he might be scaring Bolt, come August. Obviously, Bolt had other ideas when it came to that, but he won that race. He ran 1968. It was wind legals, 0.9 wind. Second place was 20.04. So he won by over 0.3 of a second, which is just incredible. So that was the one performance that stood out to most to me at this meet. And then just even looking beyond that, like you said, there was multiple world leads. I think I calculated, there's 22 world leads at the time. Wait, maybe a little less, maybe about 20. I'm doing a search, but it was a lot. And
there's obviously great performances. I was just looking at the record books, like how many Prefontaine records were set on that day, and that was the list that I just mentioned. If we go back to 2015 with Gatlin, he ends up later that summer running 1957 at USA's. I mean, the guy was just simply on fire compared to Bolt. Bolt didn't come back that season until, I believe, the London Diamond League. Like, he had been hurt and he was really, really rusty. And it was all the debate I think we've mentioned in previous podcasts, like, is Gatlin, the so-called evil villain of track and field, going to take the crown from Bolt, the shining star of track and field? And this performance, not only is it memorable, but it really set the stage for that summer, for the drama between Bolt and Gatlin. And if, like I said, a month later, Gatlin comes in and runs 1957, and he starts to get that air of invincibility, even against Usain Bolt, where it's like, this is maybe going to happen in the 100 and the 200. Of course, it doesn't. He chokes in the 100 later that summer in Beijing. And then the 200 was basically no contest. Bolt just wiped the floor with him by running 1955 to Gatlin's 1974, which was a pretty underrated, like, Bolt performance there, running 1955 in 2015. Like, that was super legit. We go to some other performances from there, why this one stands out. That 241 from Barshim. I mean, Barshim from 2014 to 2015 was just an absolute monster. I think the Barshim year that stands out the most is 2014 with him, when him and Bondarenko were going back and forth. But he was just dominant and a force in 2015. You also have to remember that Dibaba race, that 14:19, that's the 10th fastest 5,000 of all time. And that was run during the day at the pre-classic. So we kind of think of distance night, and they run it in cooler temperatures. Like, the weather was okay, but it was not ideal. It was a little warm. And for Dibaba to go in and run the 14:19 that she did, that's incredibly impressive to me. She has only run faster than that on, let's see, one occasion, which she did later that summer in Paris. But running that fast, I believe, is the fastest ever on U.S. soil. I'll have to double check that. Yes. So that 14:19 that Dibaba ran in 2015, which of course the year she goes on and sets the 1500 world record, and then she wins 1500 gold in Beijing. So she also runs that 5,000 fastest ever on U.S. soil. That's a pretty darn stinking impressive year. And then you also have Lavillenie jumping 6:05. So the stakes aren't going to be as high as, of course, in Atlanta Olympic Games, or maybe a national championships, or maybe even an NCAAs. But that 2015 pre-classic, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if you just go down, I'm just going to quickly go through the most of the races. All right.
Yeah.
So the 100 meter was won in 988 by Tyson Gay. 988. That's like a B race for this caliber, right? So
Sure.
give it a 3 out of 5 stars. The 200, obviously 5 stars with the 1968 by Gatlin. Karani James won sub 44, beating LaShawn Merritt, which was a hyped up matchup at the time. Runs a world lead. Check this out. The women's 100. There were, people don't know this, but there was 2 women's hundreds. There was the B 100 and the A 100. But the B 100 was won by English Gardner in 1084. She basically did an outlean of Elaine Thompson. So Elaine Thompson was in the B heat with English Gardner. They both run 1084. They had a neck and neck finish, but Gardner got the photo win.
Yeah.
And then the A race was run in 1081 with third place running 1082. So 3 women run 1082 or faster. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price and Muller Aurori, I don't know how to say her name. Coastal Harbor.
Yeah.
Muriel O'Hara. They both run 1081. So it was like 2 women's 100 meters that were both decided on the photo finish. Run 1081 and 1084. Tori Bowie runs 1082 and gets third in her race. That just shows the depth of what they had. They had to have 2 races to run. Imagine if the other 2 women, if if Gardner and Thompson were in that A race, we could have had, 5. We would have had 5 women breaking 1085 in the same race, which is just crazy.
Yeah, I know Gardner's run 1074 at Hayward Field. I want to look to see what year that was, if that was at USA's or at the pre-classic, because she's run. Yeah, she ran that at the trials in 2016. So she's run a pretty stinking good mark. She likes Hayward Field as a former Duck. Other events other results of note: Jenny Simpson won the women's 1500 that year in 4 flat. You also had, I believe at the time, a junior U.S. junior record from Alexa Ephraimson at 4:03. She was, I don't know, 18, 19 at that point and had turned pro, I think, earlier that year. So that was a big deal for her. So a lot of like smaller performances that held a lot of weight at the time. It was a really good track meet. Just pre is always that way. There was also really good men's steeple. The men's 400 was good. You still had, you had Kim Boy running fast in the steeple. That was the year of Jairus Biresh, and Evan Jager running 8:05. That was a big deal that early in the season, and he would go on later that summer. And you were there in Paris to run that famous 8 flat and break the American record while still, or all stumbling over that final barrier. So 2015 was kind of a wild year, and pre set the stage for some of it. Some of the later manifestations of the season.
Yeah, interestingly, one race that I thought was this was when I thought that it was over for Lopez Lemong. It's kind of crazy to think about it. Lopez Lemong runs, he's in the B heat mile. He gets 10th in the B heat mile running 3:59. He gets 10th. He loses to someone. He loses to like Pat Casey, Garrett Heath, Ryan Gregson, a bunch of guys. But like, this was when I was looking at Lemong's career, and I was like, hey man, all right, he's just kind of like, he's at the end of his career, right? So it was 1980. Yeah. He born in 85, so he was, I guess, 30 at the time, right? Yeah. And I was just kind of thinking, man, you're on the wrong side. You're starting to get on the wrong side of 30. I don't know if Lopez is ever going to be the Lopez that we knew from like the mid, to late 2010s, early 2010s.
I'm glad you kept that thought to yourself and didn't tweet that out, because that would have been that would have been a pretty tough one to live down on track Twitter. They're pretty ruthless.
But at the time, Lopez was not like, he was just like falling off, right? He ran his PRs that year was 3:59. He didn't even run in 2016. He wasn't running well. It was just like, man, what's going to happen? But then, 2018 happens, and then 2019 happens, and now he's the favorite to potentially he's a favorite to win, if not get second in the US, but he's also a medal contender in the 10K, which is crazy. Who would have thought that a guy ran 3:59 in 2015, and then in 2021, 6 years later, when he's like 36, he could potentially get a medal, which is just wild.
Yeah. Good second act, or even a third act on his career. Another one of the B mile on the men's side, Timothy Chariot, young Timothy Chariot, probably 19 or 20 at this one, third behind Ben Blankenship and Jonathan Kiplimo. I don't think we knew in 4 or 5 years' time that he was going to become the world's greatest miler at that point. We're getting third in the international mile, but he was awfully young at that point. So keep an eye on even those people that are floundering in the international mile at the pre-classic in a few years' time can either be on the comeback trail or can be the world's greatest miler. You just really never know. So 2015, a pretty good year for the pre-classic. Should we move on to another meet? Do you want to offer up your suggestion in this case to determine the best single day track meet in U.S. history?
Yeah, so my suggestion is the only suggestion, because I'm going to be very confident around my
going to indoors, though. Now that is a bold pick, because I think a lot of people would take issue with the best meet in in U.S. history being indoors. But go ahead.
But it kind of might have been. I'm not sure. Were you there?
No.
Were you at this meet? You were not at this meet. Oh, you had to be.
No.
So this was 2018 NCAA Indoor Championships in Texas A&M.
Yes.
All right, just hear me out. Look at all these championship records that happened at the time, and they hold up as like all-time like performances, like top 3 all time. Elijah Hall pulls off the double. He runs 20:02 in the 200, which is a championship record. 20:02. He smokes Divine Oduduru. So that's when Hall had his crazy double. Michael Norman runs the NCAA record in the indoor 400. Michael Norman runs 44:52. Another guy, though, also runs sub 45, but he breaks the collegiate record in the open 400, and then he goes on to run the 4x4 in 3 flat 77, which we all remember was crazy with like them going up against Florida and Texas A&M. So
Yeah.
Elijah Hall, Michael Norman, Michael Cerrone runs sneakily 1:45:15, which in a championship race indoor, that's really fast. He beats Isaiah Harris. I could keep going. I mean, this is the year Josh Kerr won. So nothing really interesting. Not the distance events were kind of chalk. I mean, there was a couple upsets, but they weren't all-time great distance races. Grant Holloway runs the second fastest time all-time at the time. He goes on to then in 2019 run like 0.1 seconds faster, but at the time he was still running well. There was Aaliyah Hobbs runs 7:07. Gabby Thomas runs 22:38, which was a record. Kendall Ellis runs 50.34, beating at the time who just broke the junior record, which was Sydney McLaughlin. The pole vault collegiate championship best went down. In Katura Orgy's triple jump was the collegiate championship record at the time. It was just a lot. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 championship records all on the same day, which I think is that means something, in my opinion.
Yeah, a great indoor meet, probably the greatest in NCAA indoor championships in history. I don't think that's any doubt. But here's my counter: no. My counter being no, because 400-meter indoor record, so insignificant. 44.52. We go outdoors. The record is 43.03. The difference is just huge. People aren't used to paying attention to track in March. I know indoors, it was great. These are some legends. Like Norman is obviously going to be a superstar. And that 4x4 with Rai Benjamin, incredible. Should have been a world record. Basically is a world record. Kendall Ellis, a collegiate record. Tons of records. But those times, when you compare them to outdoor times, when you compare them to what the professionals are doing at the Pre-Classic USA's Olympic trials or the Olympic Games themselves, you can't shake a stick at them. They're just not going to be memorable. And you got some recency bias there and some NCAA bias. I think you could go to the outdoor NCAA championships that year, the final day of the men's competition, where Rai Benjamin smashes the 400-meter hurdles collegiate record, and Michael Norman beats the 400 collegiate record. And I'm pretty sure we had a great 4x4. I can't remember exactly what went down that one, but between Texas A&M and USC, I'm sure it was a great 4x4. I would almost counter with that in the final days of the old school Hayward Field, that 2018 outdoor championships, just that last day of the men's competition, was better. The women's competition, unfortunately, was slowed by torrential rain and just poor weather overall. But there was also a good women's 4x4 to decide the championships. I would put that last day of the men's competition outdoors in Eugene in 2018 as my pick over this indoor championships. Great indoors, but we can't have the best track meet on U.S. soil ever being indoors.
Yes, I think you can, though, because, it's perspective. It's perspective of you're not going to run 1968 indoors. Like, that's just not possible. So we should not compare a 20.02 to a 1968. You just shouldn't. You shouldn't.
But there also many greats have not run indoors, so we don't have like the full scope of how fast things could be. Like if Michael Johnson had committed to indoors, if Usain Bolt had run the 200 indoor. I know it's not an international event, but I assume the records would be faster. Not NCAA. I know that. I know these are NCAA marks, but this just, it's like not everybody had the same access to the playground here. Records are softer, one, because it's hard to run indoors, but also because not everybody even takes it seriously. I just, great meet. It's memorable, but not for the full breadth of track and field fans.
I just think, though, I think we're just going to remember that time when Michael Norman, Sydney McLaughlin, Grant Holloway, they were all in the same meet.
Yeah.
Winning races.
And we had that outdoors. We had that outdoors.
But you didn't have it in the same day because they separate the men and the women. But like, you're gonna it's gonna be in 2028, there's gonna be a 10-year. Remember 10 years ago when we had the greatest NCAA meet of all time? I think that it's going to happen. People are going to remember.
Yeah, I guess if you're going to be celebrating
9 championship records, dude. Yeah. Like, that's a lot. Like, normally a good meet has like 1 or 2, but 9? Like, That's not
Yeah.
normal. Sure, it's a
Yeah.
championship record for NCAA, and so like pro, like that can't even lick what pros do on an off day, and I get that, right? They can jog championship records, but the odds of that all happening on the same day, I think, and plus with the superstars, especially with Sydney and Michael and Eli Hall at the time was a superstar. You know, I just and Holloway, man, I don't know. I just think,
Yeah. I mean, Holloway smashed his record in the American record the following year. So that's not even his greatest performance. It's the best NCAA indoors of all time. That's the legacy. It's not the greatest one-day U.S. track meet in history. We can differ on that. That's fine. I'm fine with it. I know that you like this meet. You were there, and I think that's what tends to have a little bit to sway your narrative just a hair. But I'm fine with you nominating. It can be a nominee in the category where the actor doesn't even show up because they're like, I have no shot of getting this, and I don't know. It can just be, it can be the nominee. It can be the best picture. It can be the Joker as the nominee for the best picture. We all understand why it was good. Some flaws with the plot, but you got to put it in there as a nominee. And most people
Joker
probably
did
didn't get
have
that
Best
reference.
Actor winner eventual. The
They did.
Best
They
Actor
did,
did
but
win from the Joker. So.
yes, but as far as best picture, so maybe Michael Norman, best actor, not best picture overall. Okay, let's keep moving here.
Sure.
The 2017 pre-classic. Let me throw out some performances.
You broke up
here.
there. What year is it? What year?
2017 Prefontaine Classic. Okay, did I come across there?
Yeah, I heard it that time.
Okay, good. People just want to keep me down. We had Christian Taylor jumping 18:11, which at the time was, not at the time. That was his second best jump of all time, compared to his 18:21 in Beijing in 2015. At the time, though, it was the best jump in on U 14 in Long Beach, a small meet. So that has since been beaten, but we go to the rest. Tori Bowie in 2017, she runs 21:77 in the 200. That kind of sets up her summer later that year in London, where she wins the 100 meters. We also had a sub 9 in the women's steeplechase. Let me make sure. I feel like that's the lone. No, well, I guess we had Beatrice Chipkoech later in 2019 running sub 9, but at that point in 2017, that was the first sub 9 women's steeplechase. Cellophane chest pull 8:58. We had Maria Lassaskene jumping 2:03 in the high jump. Let me go back and see some other results. Maybe this one doesn't quite stack up to 2015, but I want to look and see what else we had here, because I feel like this was a pretty good meet. We had Dababa running 14:25 in the 5,000. Not quite as good, obviously, as what she did in 2015. Mo Farah winning the 5K. You know what? This one probably shouldn't have been a nominee. I'm just going to edit it out of myself here. It's a good year for a couple people, but it doesn't have the full scope of it. Yeah, I'll unnominate this one. This one I thought on first glance should have been a nominee. Not anymore, though. Not anymore.
I mean, I'm looking at some of the results. You have eventual world record holder Dalila Muhammad getting 5th in the 400-meter hurdles, which is kind of funny. Once
That is
again,
definitely
the international mile, a great place where the people who don't run well are eventually going to be good. You look at this. Lopez Lamong, once again, gets 8th in this mile, runs 3:55, so he's a little better, but he's still
a little better.
Getting smoked. He's losing to eventual retiree Andrew Wheating. Getting 11th in the international mile, Jacob Ingebrigtsen. So, it's kind of, I think we need to do a whole series on the B mile race at Prefontaine.
Wow.
And look at people who don't run well at it eventually go on years later to have incredible careers. I mean, this is what 2017 for pre. Jacob had his big breakout in 2018 when he was running at Euros and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So he goes from 11th at the pre B mile to now being a perennial like top 3 potential guy at the world level, which is crazy.
So I nominated 2017 and it ended up being a kind of a flop. Let me renominate and let's go to the 2019 pre-classic. Just this last summer, they had to move it
Man,
to Palo
it's a lot
Alto.
it's a lot of recency bias going on right here.
Okay, it is, but riddle me this: we had Christian Coleman running 981 in the 100. That's pretty good. We had Caster Semenya coming back, being granted by the meet director to come in. She wins the 800, 155.7. That's her last track meet of the season. She almost wins by 3 seconds. It kind of highlights the absurdity of it all, of her not being able to compete. That's just one man's opinion. Faith Kipyegon, 3:59.04. We had 4 women breaking 4 minutes in that one. Of course, it was one of the Safan Hassan moments. She runs 8:18, one of the best times in world history in the 3,000. I think it was the fastest outside of those sketchy Chinese times from the early 90s. You also had that Josh Cheptegei, Paul Chalimo battle, 8:07 to 8:07 in the men's 2 mile. Rai Benjamin running 47:16. Chip Koech running 8:55, which I mentioned, fastest ever on U.S. soil in the women's steeplechase. A crazy men's shot put, 22:61 by basically an unheard of guy in Darlin Romani. That was a good mark. You had Mondo winning the pole vault, fresh out of college. Lasha Skinne jumps 2:04. I mean, that's a pretty good meet. Maybe it doesn't quite live up to 2015 pre because the sprint times weren't like over the top, but the distance things added in. That was a pretty good meet last year in Palo Alto.
Yeah, I think we're just recency bias.
Don't hit me with the recency bias.
General,
we're gonna have one coming down the pipe that's older, and I think that's a pretty good meet.
Basically, you've nominated the 2015 pre-classic, the 2017 pre-classic, and the 2019 pre-classic. You just love odd year pre-classics in the past 10 years. That's basically
I'm
what
a
you're
big
doing.
odd year guy. Okay, I'm a big odd year. I'm all for those odd years. That's why this year has been such a downer. You know, it's not an odd year; it's an even year.
It's holding to form.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I looked at the record books for the pre-classic. That's kind of how I base this. And a lot of times 2015, 2017. But I should have been looking at 2019, you know. I'll admit it was it was an error on my part. 2017, not as good as I thought it was. But 2019, pretty good. If it had the sprint times, we could have been talking about it. It could have been the G-Pode, the greatest pre of all time. But we'll see how the world remembers this. I think it nudges out the 2018 NCAA indoors. You maybe do not feel as strongly about it. Are you still holding strong to the 2018 NCAA indoors?
I am, man. 9 championship records. It's just like there's more to track than just fast times, right? There's also like the championship aspect, right? And again, I get it. Like a lot of the indoor times would have finished 3rd or 10th in some of these pre-results, but the names hold up, and the times on an indoor level when you convert it to outdoor hold up as well, in my opinion. And they're doing it at a younger age, right? They're doing it. This is a bunch of kids, you could say, running elite times, right? Or like you're seeing sub 22-year-olds all like running like they're 25,
right?
26.
So whilst we are here, I wanted to bring up some honorable mention single day track meets, and I feel like it's important that we throw in some Olympic trials because I think for a lot of track fans, the Olympic trials are maybe the best track meet in the entire country. You know, definitely trumps out the by importance, a lot more bigger stakes than just the pre-classic, of course. So I go to an honorable mention, the 2012 Olympic trials, Ashton Eaton breaking the world record. that was a pretty that day. I believe that was June, maybe June 23rd of 2012. There, Ashton Eaton breaking the world record with some of the
Hold on.
greats in attendance. That was a great single day of track and field in the United States. What's up?
You just like pretended to like remember the exact date of that off the top of your head. Like, oh, it's like June.
Well, let's see if it's right.
June 23rd. Like, how do you randomly pick June 23rd as knowing
Hold
the
on,
day
let's
that's
just
when?
see if it's right. I don't know if it's right.
How did
Let's
you even
just
come
see.
up with
It
that?
was right.
How'd you come up with that date? How did you know that?
I remember.
How did you know that
I
date?
do. I remembered it. It was guess, and then I got it right. It was June 23rd of 2012.
You legit, like, I can remember that it was summer of 2012, but I could not remember that it was June 23rd of 2012.
I don't know.
How do you?
I have random things that stick in my head. I can't. The classic like male dilemma. I have like certain anniversaries and things that I have to like make sure when they get close, I like am reminding myself. But I can remember. I can remember the day like the Cubs won the World Series, I believe, on
What day was
November
that?
2nd, November 2nd,
Oh, wow.
2016. And for
What
whatever
other
reason,
dates
I
can you
can
remember?
let's
This
see.
is like a talent. I bet you. I
I don't
bet
know.
you Ashton
You
Eaton
have to quiz
doesn't.
me.
I bet you Ashton Eaton doesn't remember the day. Do
Oh,
you think
I'm sure
Ashton
he
Eaton?
does. Yeah. Yes. Guarantee you
No, I
he
think
knows June 23rd, 2012 is when I broke the world record in the decathlon, and then Bruce Jenner was in attendance, I believe. Dan
I think
O'Brien.
he
I mean, there were
remembers.
several like greats there. And it was at
I
Hayward
think he
Field. I
remembers.
mean, it's a huge deal. Go ahead.
I think he remembers the day of the week, and he knows it was June, and he knows it was probably in the 20s. But I don't think he remembers the exact day.
No, I think he would remember the exact day.
I guess
Would you
maybe I'm a
remember the
type of
greatest
person.
athletic achievement of your life? You would know what day it was. You
I don't
remember
know what day I
everything
had
about
my
that day.
PR. Well, I don't. My greatest athletic achievement in my life, my personal best of whatever time I ran, I have no idea what day it was. I guess it wasn't that great then, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
all respect though. I mean, that's a little different, obviously, than Ashton Eaton.
But I bet you LeBron James doesn't know what day he won his first world championship. I don't think he does.
Oh, I bet he does. I guarantee you.
This. I'm gonna start asking people if they remember specific days. I think they more remember like. I mean, do you remember the day you like met your wife? Like the exact day?
I remember the day. I remember the day we started dating. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
well, yeah,
exact
that's
day.
an anniversary though. But that
Yeah,
you're picking that day. But like, do you remember the first time you saw them
well, it would
walking
have been.
across the street?
It would have been August of 2010.
So there
So
you
I
go.
don't know
That's
I don't know the exact day.
So that's I think Ashton's gonna be like it would have been June of 2012.
Maybe. I think we need to tweet this clip at him afterwards because it's a good
Do you
question.
think? Okay, so do you think Ashton Eaton knows the exact day of all of his like PRs? Because all of his
I don't know
PRs
about
after
each
that were
individual
like
event,
impressive.
but maybe he remembers the specific days of his world record in Eugene and then his world record in Beijing, like what days those were. I don't think that would be too hard to remember. We're talking June of 2012 and August of 2015. And I assume he could also remember all the days of his gold medals too. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't think he remembered. No, gold. Okay, I don't think he could list the exact dates of every gold medal because he's had what 5 or 6, some of that indoors and outdoors, including both.
Yeah, you're right. That's a big number. So maybe his world records, he could remember the exact day. I would bet on that.
I just don't. Maybe I don't think days. I don't like. I'm a huge Eagles fan, right? And they won the Super Bowl, and it's one of the greatest like fan moments of my life. I do not know what day it was. I know it's a single digit in February. That's all I know. Like, but like I don't remember it being a specific. I don't. It doesn't. Because I work in like seasons. You remember the year and like the time. You don't remember. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah, we should tweet this at Ashton Eaton and find out. Hey, do you know the days of every one of your excellent achievements?
Gold. Gold. It's February 4th, 2018. That was the happiest moment of your life, by the way.
There you go.
I don't know
Thank
if
you.
it was the happiest moment of your life, but it's up there. Okay, so we move on. We're still talking about the honorable mentions. I think that one is an honorable mention. It possibly does not, go to the level of a pure nominee, but it's an honorable mention. 2016, and I don't remember the exact day, but the 2016 trials, we have a couple things here. Sydney McLaughlin making the team as a 16-year-old. We have Bernard Lagat at 4. These are separate days. So let me just highlight that, at least to my knowledge, separate days. Bernard Lagat winning the 5,000 at age 41. The people that were in the stadium that day say that Hayward Field has maybe never gotten as loud as it did that day when Lagat won that. So that is that's a memorable one for sure. That one's, I'm looking at his stat page, so you can't make fun of me for just having this on the top of my head. July 9th of 2012, awfully memorable. Let me just make sure that women's 400 hurdles wasn't that day as well, because that one would be a pretty spectacular nominee if so. Let's see. No, that was a day later that McLaughlin made the 2016 team. So July 9th, but pretty good 2-day run there, July 9th and 10th for track and field. But we're focused on 1-day meets here. And I think that July 9th, where Lagat wins the trials at 41, that would stand out. But that doesn't have all the performances. That's just a one event type of a thing. Do you have any trials moments before I get to the big kahuna here, the 1-day meet that I think trumps them all? Do you have any trials moments, USA's moments that you think deserve to be nominated?
I mean, my most memorable trials moment is Ashton Eaton's second day of his decathlon. So, but I don't really have any other nominees. I know what's one more that do we have any more big ones?
I gotta bring it up. Of course, I don't know how I neglected this. The 2008, the men's 800 at the trials, where Oregon guys, kind of sort of Nick Simmons, Andrew Wheating, Christian Smith go 1, 2, 3 in the 800. That's a pretty memorable single day thing. And again, I don't know exactly what else transpired that day. But when you talk about single day on a track meet, that one's pretty memorable, of course. So that, I think we covered the recent trials, of course, the 2008, 2012, and 2016. Those are probably the big moments that stand out for a lot of people. But I got to go to the big one. We're getting into the later stages of this podcast. The 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, July 29th. Of 1996. Now, I was a month away from turning 6. How old would you have been in July of 1996?
So, born in 87. Quick math. Plus,
so you would have been 9 or 8 or 9.
Yeah, 9 or 8. Yeah,
8 or 9. Okay, so
no,
probably both of us.
I was 8.
Probably.
I remember watching it on TV for what it's worth.
And one more nominee that I forgot to mention, I'll mention quickly here. Bolt's first world record of the 2008 Adidas Grand Prix, 972. So that one also deserves a quick shout out as an honorable mention. But let's go back to Atlanta, July 29th. Here's all that went down. Michael Johnson runs an Olympic record in the 400, 43:49. Of course, that record has since fallen thanks to a world record by Mr. Wade Van Niekerk. But back then, this was a huge deal. He's wearing the gold spikes. Marie Jose Perec in the women's 400, she runs an Olympic record, 48:25. That's stinking fast back in 1996. The men's 10,000 also went down. We had Haile G versus Paul Turgot. The 10K Olympic record falls that day. I believe it was like... No, don't let me. I got to go back. It was 27:0 something here, so it would have been Atlanta. 1 second. It would have been 27:07 to 27:08. So I think at the time that was the Olympic record. And for good measure, we also had Alan Johnson winning the high hurdles on the men's side, 12:95. So Michael Johnson, Haile Gebrselassie, a 48-25 women's 400. And then you had Alan Johnson, who's the GOAT high hurdler, according to my own ultimate rankings. Alan Johnson, read your history on the 110 meter hurdles. That man was a superstar. I think this day takes it when you have MJ, not Michael Jordan, but Michael Johnson, a 48-25. You also had Kathy Freeman in that women's 400 running 48-6, a fantastic men's 10,000, and then an American winning the high hurdles. I think this day takes the cake. You got to convince me otherwise.
Well, it is a good day. And it's hard to have a good day it's hard to have one that there's not many single day there's not many single day Olympic moments on US soil, right? Because the Olympics haven't been on the US soil that many times, let alone the Olympics are what, 9 days long for the track, or 9 or 10 days long. So the odds of having like multiple finals all click on the same day is hard to do, right? So in this case, you had the hurdles, the 10K, and 2 400s. It's 4 events. So for 4 events to kind of go 4 for 4 there, that alone is hard to do. So, and to do it on the U.S. soil. So yeah, I believe I'm willing to secede the Olympics over my NCAA indoor championships. But
wow, I'm blessed. I feel good.
96 Atlanta. There you go. You can have it.
I mean, I think most people would have been like, duh, when you look at this. But you're right. With the Olympics as stretched out as they are, so many different things are going to happen on so many different days. But this one with a fantastic 10,000 meters, a fantastic women's 400, and obviously Michael Johnson in the 400. He had fallen flat in 1992 in Barcelona. I don't even think he ran the 400 in Barcelona, maybe just the 200, and he didn't make the final. So to come back on U.S. soil and to have this career-defining performance, wearing those gold spikes and everything, was a huge deal. But sneaky, like I said, that women's 4 and that men's 10,000 was pretty darn good if you're into that sort of thing. And Alan Johnson, again, the greatest high hurdler of all time, unquestioned, because guess what? He's on top of my ultimate rankings high hurdlers.
You want to
all time question.
You want to promote your ultimate rankings again on this pod?
My ultimate rankings,
number 3.
Yeah.
Number
4, no, I
updated
updated them on April 7th. Alan Johnson up by 11 points over Sally Pearson, up by 13 points over Gail Devers, up by 14 over Lu Zhang. I mean, there's no question. Alan Johnson's the GOAT, and he ran 12:95. What's up?
Is Grant Holloway in the top 25 yet?
He is not. Oh no, he might be in the top 25. I only do to top 20. I think he is in the top 25 though. As far as Americans go, obviously we have Johnson 1, Devers 3, Brianna McNeil is 7, Aries Merritt is 9, Greg Foster 12, Roger Kingdom 12, David Oliver 15, Don Harper Nelson 16, Terrence Trammell 16, and Kenny Harrison and Nia Ali tied for 19. So a lot of American representation. Grant Holloway hasn't obviously had that full career. But when you talk about greats, you got arguably the greatest high hurdler of all time running on the same day as arguably the greatest 400-meter runner of all time. Now, I know obviously Wade Van Niekerk has broken it. And then you have arguably the greatest 10,000-meter runner of all time, although Bekele is probably trumped at this point, Haile G. Those are a lot of greats running some of their career best moments on the same day. I think Atlanta 96 has to take it.
Yeah, what was it? July 29th?
July 29th of 96.
I'm gonna Google on this day in history.
See if anything else happened
on July. Yeah, let's see what
did Mark McGuire have, like a 3-homer day as well?
Yeah, I'm trying to look. There's some obviously there's a lot of political things that always happen. But I want like something interesting that happened.
Okay.
All right. Oh, I should have been looking this up. Oh, this is famous birth. Let's see if there's anyone was born on this day.
It's like Justin Bieber born on this day too, or something.
Maybe that would be good. Oh, Wiki's really bad with on this day stuff. They do too much like no one cares stuff. July 29th birthdays. Who do you think was born on July 29th that
Of
is famous?
I would have no idea. I don't know.
Dude, here we go. Dak Prescott, July 29th.
Of 1996 or no.
It was 20. No, he's 26. Wait.
No, that's not right. No. So he would have been born in 93.
Ooh, 3 years earlier.
Okay.
Any
But
other
you give me a
famous
good
actors born on
birthday of July 29th of 1996. Now we're talking more relevant here.
July 29th, 1996.
Because this is the greatest day of track and field on U.S. soil in history.
So, I don't know, man. I can't find it. I'll have to get back to you on the next pod.
Please do. Please do. I'm going
to
need this information. This is important.
But it was a Monday.
Oh, Monday. Nice. Starting the week
here we
off
go.
strong.
Here we go. This is what happened. So, the number one hit song was the Macarena.
Oh, hell yeah.
And in the UK, it was Wannabe by the Spice Girls.
Okay. This is all coming back to me now.
Yeah. That's about it. That's all I got for you.
Okay. That fell a little flat, but...
Yeah, I mean, with the movies, the movie that was released was Falling Up. I never heard of that movie.
No,
Falling Up?
Me neither. Turns out it fell down.
Oh, that's a book. No,
up.
Falling Up was a book.
Oh.
The movie
was that Shel Silverstein, probably.
Silverstein? Yeah.
Yeah, man. Come on. Okay. Now it's coming together. All right.
Okay.
96, a good year. A good year. And in late July of that year, a great single-day Olympic Games, the last to be held in the U.S. We'll have to wait till 2028 to have more great moments for the Olympics. I think that wraps it up. I think we've settled on it. Gordon wants to choose an NCAA indoor meet, and I'll go with the Olympic Games. You guys write in, send us emails, let us know what's the greatest one-day track meet on U.S. soil that you've ever seen, and we'll read it later on the show. All right. We are out.
We're signing off. You guys have a good one.